And the second night of a back-to-back for the Philadelphia 76ers as they host the undefeated 12-0 best in the NBA Cleveland Cavaliers. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers pregame show here on a Wednesday. It's good to be back here. I appreciate Roy sitting in for me last night, hanging out with my man to the left, and he is the great Rich Hoffman. And we want to make sure we let you know that today's pregame show is presented by Coors Light. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY basketball to get Coors Light delivered or find a store near you. Rich, before we get started, how many Coors Light do you think people needed last night to chill after the game to calm themselves down?
Multiple, Devon.
Multiple. The entire bucket. The entire bucket.
Well, I certainly needed it after hosting too. So I'm happy you're back. How was the game last night, man?
It was good, man. Of course, it wasn't good for the Sixer fans who wanted to see first game of the NBA Cup taking on the New York Knicks. But for me, being able to always, it's 7 years in, and it never gets old of being able to see a family member playing in an NBA game. And it's not just a guy who's just there. He's somebody who's important to his team. So it's always cool to see him in that environment. And even though it also stunk to see all those Knick fans in there, it was cool to see Knick 25s, in the building last night. So even when we were up in New York for the start of the season, to see the 25s early in the building was pretty cool. So that was fun. That part was fun.
He was doing some mean stuff against our small guards, too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Couple blocks, couple steals, shooting over fadeaways. Yeah. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But that's how it goes. And here we are, back to back, a night for them to try to redeem themselves. But they're going to have to do so without two more All-Stars. So all three All-Stars out tonight. Tyrese Maxey already out, even though he has been, being reevaluated each week to see where he is with the hamstring. Paul George, second night of a back-to-back. We got that news at the beginning of the season, Rich, where he, just like Joel Embiid, would miss a few back-to-backs. He wouldn't play them all. A little surprised that he's not going to play tonight. We'll get into that. But, of course, the bigger news, which is not just locally but nationally, is taking on a big-time life in NBA Twitter, NBA conversation. Joel Embiid not playing tonight on the second night of a back-to-back. First game back last night, 13 points. We saw what he looked like out there on the floor. We can get to it in the chat. We'll certainly talk with Rich and get my thoughts in general. Bree is here as always. But one thing that Nick Nurse did say last night was, we're not going to say anything right now. There's a chance we're leaving the window open for those guys to play. Pretty early, though, Rich, they announced they're out.
It's just the hits keep on coming. Their messaging is so bad. And I understand that you might not want to say it after an emotional loss is emotional. I mean, probably wasn't that emotional. I think they probably knew they were going to lose last night. But yeah, I mean, again, it's like what Nick Nurse says after these games, just like think the opposite. Because the idea that these guys were going to play is wrong. And we're in a spot right now, Devon, where it's like, do you believe in miracles territory right now with the Sixers against the 12-0 Cleveland Cavs? And obviously we've had a lot of Embiid takes today. Let's start before we talk about him missing games.
Yeah.
What did you think of him last night? Because obviously you weren't on the show.
Yeah, so I had pretty decent seats to kind of just pay attention to where he was physically and conditionally out there on the floor. And it didn't take me sitting where I was sitting and you back here at the studio or anybody else.
You had a different view.
I did have a different view. I was right there. So I was like literally right there. And it had to be 2 minutes within the start of the game where you could see him after running up and down the floor. He was breathing heavy, man. And you're like, all right, are you riding the bike since you haven't been playing over the past couple of weeks and the months? Have you been riding the bike? What have you been doing? We know you've been playing with the assistant coaches, the developmental team, and getting some run-in 3-on-3, and then ramped up, as the key word, of course, is ramped up, to 5-on-5s. There's nothing like game action to see exactly where you are. Now, look, Paul George was the same way when he came back in his first game on that road trip. He was the same way. We saw it. We saw it in real time. And again, we didn't need to be up close and sitting as close as I was to see where he was conditionally. But Rich, you could really see where it was like, all right, it's going to take him a while. And then as soon as the substitution was so quickly in that first quarter too, you're like, all right, yeah, he really is gassed this early in the game, running up and down. Karl Anthony Towns right out the bat, boom, bang a three. Hits another one, bang another three. So they're already pulling Embiid away from the basket, making him chase the big guy out there on the floor, out on the perimeter. And you can see where he was impacted by that right away. And you can also see it with the flatness of his shooting. Yeah. It was not there whatsoever at all. So he also had another possession where he had the turnover where he was trying to pivot on the baseline and he couldn't find anywhere to go. Then he did another one where he just threw it off the side of the backboard over his head. I know you guys talked about that last night. That wasn't great. So we saw all the hits last night from Embiid. What I will say, though, is this. It wasn't good. So I'm not going to sit here. It's similar to when we talked about trying to calm most people down, not locally because we've all seen it before. This was the same type of game we saw from him for Team USA in the exhibition showcase against Canada in July. Same thing. Every time we see him with an extended amount of time off, this is what we get. So when we had people coming in from the national audience checking in on the PHLY Sixers podcast at the time, wondering what's going on, we tried to let everybody know this is who you're going to get when the guy sits for so many. So it doesn't matter how many pounds he dropped. He's still going to be fatigued. Then you can go to the other side, though, and say, you did drop those pounds. You did lose that weight. You were doing conditioning things while you were not playing 5-on-5 basketball. You missed the first 9 games. Why were you not physically ready to be better than you were last night against the New York Knicks? So those are two things that you can throw out there. The start of it is, this is what he normally looks like when he comes back after missing time. He's rusty. He was rusty. He looked much better on defense. His defense was much better than his offense, albeit the threes that I talked about with Karl Anthony Towns. But
I didn't even think those were like terrible defense.
No, Karl Anthony Towns walked into them.
Just a good player.
Man, like, I mean, he's shooting really well from deep.
Bombs.
Yeah. So, and then the other part is the fact that Joel Embiid. So before people say, Devon, you're making excuses. No, this is the pattern that we've seen for Joel Embiid. But then again, you go to the other side of, why did we see it again after all that time off?
It's definitely frustrating. The one thing I will,
and I think it also hurts when you're 2-7.
Yeah,
So if they're 7-2, maybe you're not as frustrated by his 13-point performance last night.
The thing I would just tell people is like, because the one thing I said last night is that coming back from this knee injury is going to be different than these past years when he was out of shape to start the year. Like he was dealing with a surgery that we kind of knew it might not fix everything. Like he didn't have that option available. It wasn't the full meniscus repair. So the one thing I will say is just like, we need to just relax, watch the game on Friday at Tiernanog with you, Kyle and Derek, to like, let's relax. Let's see how he looks in that game and the games in the following weeks. And then we can make more of a judgment, because there are national people out here already telling us that, this is like.
Let's run through them, each one. Let's go. You take the first one.
Like you said, we were talking about Chandler Parsons. Said shut him down for the year.
The year, Chandler Parsons. Lou Williams, get your boy, man. What is happening here? Shut him down for the year? No, you shouldn't. The second one, Kendrick Perkins. I can't stand him. I don't understand what the whole deal up, but whatever. The Sixers should be investigated again. For what? For what? Exactly. Kendrick Perkins. What are you investigating them for? His poor play? Okay. Rich, you got the next one.
Bill Simmons said it was Phoenix Shaq already after one game. Like I get it. He was terrible last night, but it's just one game. And Devon, honestly, like, I thought his conditioning was poor at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
But the big thing that I'm worried about is his ability to push off that left knee, because it's like you said, he was moving good defensively. I think that was the one difference from the Olympics, I thought when he was playing in the Olympics, I thought he was big. I thought he was kind of obviously out of shape and just not moving that well. He really didn't play very good defense for Team USA. Obviously, he had that great stretch against Serbia in the semifinals where he came up big when they absolutely needed him, made some jumpers. I thought he was moving great defensively. So that's cool. He's going to have to start driving the basketball on offense and actually posting up harder. And he said it after the game that I just don't trust my left knee at this point. That's a little scary to me. At some point, he's going to have to do that. If he does, then maybe we get back to talking about one of the better players in the league. But yeah, it stinks that he's not playing tonight, but we knew it from him. I think it's more PG, especially after PG has his best game of the year last night.
And he looked good doing so. He did.
Yeah. So you know, I think that's a real bummer. Obviously, all three of these guys being out against the best team in the league, like this is a loss. You know, it would be something. You know, Devon, I was thinking about kind of the most improbable Sixers games. Do you remember the game? Because you've obviously been watching this closely, like I have for a long time. 2016, the Sixers win 10 games, right? 2015, 2016, that's the last hinky year. It's Okafor's rookie year. They played the Golden State Warriors that year. It might be the biggest mismatch in terms of win-loss record at the end of the year. I believe they had 10 wins. The Warriors had 9 losses.
Right. Yes.
And that game came down to a Harrison Barnes 3. I will never forget. Ish Smith, I think, tied the game up with a steal. And the place was going insane. Like the Wells Fargo Center could not believe.
Wasn't that a weekend game?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was a Saturday afternoon game.
Exactly.
And it was one of those games where Draymond Green just started screwing around in the second half.
Yeah.
Like they completely played with their food, and the Sixers really made it a good game. I don't think this is quite that level of mismatch, but it's close.
Yeah,
it's close.
it is.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough tonight. I think it is good to hear that they are going to play on Friday. But like you said, you know, this is another loss. This is 2-9. Got to start winning them at some point.
I did look at the standings again, just to kind of lay it out for everybody once again. I looked at the standings, and the Sixers are 3 games out of third place. So
I know.
You know, that's the one thing that we can look to. 2 of them. They're not too far in the hole in the standings. Behind the Eastern Conference teams, there are only 2 teams with over 500 records, Cleveland and Boston. 9-3 for Boston, 12-0 for Cleveland.
They should put in the standings when it says X when they clinch already. Yeah. I know mathematically they haven't clinched yet. Those 2 teams are in the playoffs. They're in.
They're in. Fun. Yeah, do it early. You never seen that before in the NBA. And then secondly,
3 weeks into the season.
We haven't seen the 3 All-Stars from the 76ers at the same time with the rest of the group.
No, and
those are the things that you look forward to.
Yeah, and we've only seen 2 of them for 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, and frankly, like Joel Embiid in his first game is not an all-star. So, you know, it's been tough sledding. They're going to have to start winning these games pretty soon. And I will say,
it's also going to be tough though, because you just mentioned going 2-9, maybe 2-10 on Friday, taking on Orlando.
Then they're hitting the road.
They have Miami and Memphis right after that. So the 3-game road trip is Orlando starting off on Friday. Rich said we'll be at Tierno on Friday at 7:00. Hope you can come hang out with us for our watch party and live show. And then they have Miami and Memphis as part of that 3-game road trip.
There's no easy wins for these guys right now.
There are not.
There's no games that you think that they're going to win. Frankly, it's probably the opposite if you're going to lean one way or another. So they're just going to have to start playing better. And look, it's a long season. I agree. There's probably a run in them in December or January when the schedule gets a little bit easier and if they get a little bit healthier. I agree with that. But this stinks right now. And Devon, the one thing I will say, this is kind of I'm going to use the pregame to get out in front of a take that I'm going to probably have on the postgame if this game goes the way we thought it was. I don't generally like when people say the NBA is a bad product, right? Because you even watched last night when Steph Curry makes that shot and does the night
awesome.
And after, you know, you saw that the crowd in San Francisco, how much love they gave Klay Thompson. He made his threes. Just was like an awesome game.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the NBA too, right? And Steph Curry and the Warriors, I know things are going great for them right now, but obviously they have struggled a little bit over the past few years. They have the championship mixed in, but it hasn't been all smooth sailing. That's not like a great product every single year. It's hard to argue with people who say it's a bad product when the Sixers are putting this out on the floor tonight. Like it's one where I kind of throw my hands up and we're going to watch the game. And man, I would love it if Jared McCain, who we're about to talk about right after this, if he goes crazy, because he has been so much fun to watch. But this is tough, you know, like charging people money for this game is tough. And I don't think there's really any way around it.
No, it really is tough. And if it's a bad product when you're looking at your basketball team, go watch the Golden State Warriors. Yeah. Go watch the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Go watch Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Go watch OKC, Boston, and see where
but watch the PHLY Sixers postgame show tonight.
You always watch that
because we're gonna break it down.
You always watch that. All right, let's get to Jared McCain, as you just talked about. He's right now
who's saving the product.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's one bright light right now for this basketball team. He's currently 5th on the team in scoring. He's played all 10 games. He is averaging 11.5 points, 2 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and he's shooting 45% from the floor and 36% from 3. He's now starting to feel more confident out there on the floor. He's averaging 17 minutes a game for his career right now. As far as what he's been doing in the month of November, he is averaging 16 points, shooting 46% from the floor, 40 from three, where he's taking 6 a game on average, Rich, and he's playing 20 minutes for Nick Nurse's team for this month. And so far in this month, there have been 6 games. He has knocked down 19, 3, 5, 18, 27, and 23. And he looked pretty good last night. I thought his answer to a question about playing alongside and off of Embiid was really good last night, as he just talked about, man, when you go around the screen and you have an open look, you shoot the ball. You go off of a dribble handoff, you go around that screen, you shoot the basketball or find a way to get the shot off. And he basically ended it by saying, it's very simple. And that's what I love to hear from a rookie who's confident now. He's had an opportunity to finally play with the big man and understand what it's going to be like once everybody's back and healthy and out there on the floor together. He's been phenomenal, man, this month. And he's really starting to open some eyes, not just with us who, again, on draft night, if you saw all 4 of us on draft night, we were a little more on the positive side with what he could potentially do. I don't want to speak for you, but I would think even for you, for both of us, that he's surprising even us for the way he's playing 10 games into his NBA career.
We were both more positive, but he's exceeded my expectations by a lot.
100%.
You know this, man. Rookies, even the promising ones, even the ones that are going to be good, typically are not very good right away. They're not, and when I mean not very good, not contributing to winning basketball. He's done that, man. He's like, I get it that the Sixers are 2-8, so he's technically not contributing to winning basketball, but they would be losing by a lot more if he wasn't playing in these games. Like this isn't Michael Carter Williams soaking up possessions and getting stats because the team they have nobody else to shoot or whatever. Like, he's been efficient. I love the stuff he's done off the dribble. You mentioned playing with Joel last night. Like, those guys had never played in an NBA game together, and they flowed right into it, like the 2-man game.
I love how Joel was, come back and get it. He's like, come back and get the basketball. He's waiting for him.
We have a video coming out, a YouTube video that Bree helped me put together on our YouTube channel, just kind of highlighting all of the good things Jared McCain has done earlier in the year. And that play was part of it. Yeah, it was really cool to see Joel just say, come get it, man.
Get the basketball, man.
And Jared McCain, off of Joel's screens, off of Joel's gravity, had like acres of space to operate. And Devon, I think the big thing is, like, we knew he's a good shooter. We knew he was a good rebounder. I didn't know like how feisty he was in a lot of ways. Obviously, we knew his defensive limitations. 2 things that kind of stand out to me. Number one, he's putting more pressure on the rim than I thought he would. And, sometimes that happens, man. Like, we talk about how guys don't do that in college, but the rules in the NBA, I understand the players are better, but the rules are different. There's more space. You're not allowed to hand check as much in the NBA. I know they changed the rules a little bit at the end of last year, kind of right on the fly, but sometimes guys get into the NBA, and just because they didn't do it in college, it's not always the case at the next level. So he's putting pressure on the rim. I looked at the stats today. He's shooting 55% at the rim, which is not a great number overall, but he's getting there a lot.
And the other part is, he's not one that's going to go up and dunk on you like we see a lot of guards, even though we saw the attempt that he did.
That's why it was crazy.
Got fouled, right? There it is. But you're not going to get a lot of that. So to your point, he has to get creative, Rich, in trying to get these layups off and, to hit the glass and make sure you hit the square.
And that's why it's 55%, right? He relies on these finger rolls and runners. It's like you said. So he'll only have to get better at that. But I got to say, the fact that he's getting there pretty consistently, like, he made a couple nice moves on Anunoby on switches last night. Obviously, Campaign was guarding him. Campaign could not guard him last night.
He couldn't.
Which is obviously it's not the most elite defense in the world, but he was blowing by him. So I've been impressed by that. And the other thing too is he's just smart. There was another play, Devon, last night where Joel was calling for the high-low, and he was actually pointing at Yabusele. Hey man, you got to flash to the free throw line and throw it over because you are the second tallest guy on the floor. And Yabusele was just who has played really well for them. So I'm not trying to bag on Yabusele too much. Just did not notice it. And of course, Jared McCain is the guy who makes this kind of crazy cut to the free throw line. And the only 2-point field goal Joel Embiid made last night was because Jared McCain made that cut and that touch pass. Anyway, he's really smart. I think the Sixers have a pretty good one here.
They do. And this will bode well for them. While things are working out now, he's going to hit a wall. We know he's going to hit a wall at some point. But what it's going to do is, if he's still on this team beyond the trade deadline, that he is now just gaining some valuable experience and his teammates trust him. We saw it with Paul George. When he had the hot hand out west, when Paul George was looking for him to come back and get the basketball, he was getting some of those crunch time minutes against Charlotte on Monday, where Paul George, again, playing those two out there, and he's like, come get the basketball because he's playing so well. So he's getting some valuable experience, and he's going to gain the trust of his veteran teammates. That'll go a long way for him.
Yeah, I'm saying that Connect was a better pick. Not so far.
Well, again, with the Connect thing, we agreed that
so
Connect
far.
was the pick to go.
29% from three for the Lakers. He's getting a lot of good looks for them. And look, Dalton Connect is old too. Like, he better be good right away. So I understand the fit, but Jared McCain is outplaying that guy right now.
Yeah, he is.
So we'll see. I mean, look, maybe Connect goes on a heater for a few months there, and JJ kind of unlocks him. But right now, it's funny. I thought Connect was going to be better than him right away just because of the age and the profile that really all he needs to be a catch and shoot guy.
And then we saw that preseason performance where he went off for 30 plus.
Yeah. We should probably just disregard preseason performances, man. Guys are just getting cardio in those games. But like, McCain has been better, and I think that goes to show that you just can't really assume anything, in the NBA. Anyway, yeah, I'm really impressed with the kid. Obviously, seems like an awesome dude too. It's great when he's also playing well and he's an awesome dude. You don't have to like use that as a crutch. Like, man, what a great interview he is. Well, he's a great interview, but he's also playing really well too.
Yep.
So yeah, I've been really impressed. He's going to get a lot of shots tonight. He's probably not going to be as efficient because he's pretty much going to be the focal point of the offense. But hey, let's say some of those threes go down tonight, and maybe he has the game that Maxey had against the Nuggets when all the guys were sick.
The 8 players.
Yeah, the 7 players.
The 7 players game, they had to dress the 8th who wasn't going to play.
Mike Scott basically is in a cast on the bench, and he counts as a player.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So something to look forward to, of course, with Jared McCain tonight. Maybe Cleveland takes this team for granted, and it's a closer game than we expect.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No, it is not, but we don't think that that's necessarily going to be the case. That said, let's get to the super chat from Bernard here, Bernard McCoy, and then we'll get to our Cavs conversation. Are the Sixers this arrogant, playing Maxey 42 minutes a game? Next closest guy in the NBA is 36 minutes. Now no PG or Embiid. This could get ugly. Thanks, Bernard. Appreciate it. Well, we thought it was nuts, too. I mean, look at what Tom Thibodeau is doing with his starters, which is outrageous. But this is Tom Thibodeau. He needs to chill out. But, I mean, the Maxey thing just kind of played itself out where Nurse trusts his guys. And then when you're down some big guys, he's just naturally going to lean. So if Kyle Lowry is playing 33, Tyrese is going to play 40.
Yeah, he's at 39.7 this year after 37.5 the year before. I don't really mind playing Maxey big minutes. Maybe not 40, but we're quibbling here, right?
And we don't know that it contributed to his hammy, but maybe.
We're quibbling. Like, I think 36, 37 minutes, 38 minutes is even fine too. Like, he's young, he's energetic. Now, like, look, if the soft tissue injuries become a problem for him moving forward, then yeah, they're gonna have to reevaluate it at some point. This is kind of the first one. He injured his I think it was his foot. Did he have
last year?
No, it was 2 years ago. Remember, he missed about a month early in the season when Harden was out as well, and he was just on a drive going to the basket. It wasn't. Like,
and last year he broke his foot too.
It wasn't like an overuse injury. So I think it's okay. But yeah, I mean, part of it is out of necessity, as Bernard points out. Like, they just don't have anything else right now.
They don't. All right, let's talk briefly about the Cavs tonight. 12-0, man. One of the things that we talked about preseason was the Cavs being better. And one of the points that I made was that I thought Kenny Atkinson would find a way to make the 2 backcourt guys work and the 2 bigs in the front court work. And so far, he has done just that. All 4 of them have been phenomenal.
He's a very good coach. He's been on Golden State's bench the past few years, right? He obviously got a raw deal in Brooklyn.
Raw deal.
Right? And it's the same thing that always happens. These super teams, these stars come together and they want their own guy. And it's just like, come on, man. You gotta stick with the dude who was kind of, that team was terrible when he took it over in Brooklyn, and he brought them to respectability. So good to see that he got another shot. I think part of it too, man, but besides Kenny Atkinson being a good coach, because I don't think Bickerstaff was a terrible coach either. I think he's going to do a decent job. in Detroit. But part of it is that these guys have been around for a few years now, right? Like Donovan Mitchell, for a long time, people were like, he's going to be on the first plane out of town. The second he can leave, he's going to go to New York. He re-ups. And you have these guys like Garland and Mobley and Allen who have played together 3, 4, 5 years now, right? And they are a bit of a weird team in that, you're right, they have the 2 tiny guards, and then they have the 2 big guys who can't really shoot, although Mobley is starting to extend his range. That's probably one of the most important things for them because he has the most upside, but he still has a lot to do to unlock it. But they're playing great, and I think part of it is just that they've been together for a while and they're starting to roll. And probably this is an example of probably changing the coach, whether or not Bickerstaff was doing a good or bad job. That it infused some new blood in there and probably got them. It probably put a pep in their step a little bit to start the year. So they've been awesome. Top 5 in defense, top 5 in offense. Just a great team. And
the other interesting part for them, Max Strus hasn't even played yet. He's been injured since the preseason.
Must be nice when Max Strus is the guy who hasn't played.
Exactly.
Instead of Joel Embiid, Paul George,
as their shooter.
Maxey.
I know.
He's a good player, though.
He is a good player. Means a lot to that team, but they're off to a fantastic start. Kenny Atkinson has that team playing really well. The chemistry that they built over the last couple of years, it's all coming together for the Cleveland Cavaliers, best team in the NBA. Sixers playing them tonight, 12-0 against 2-8. We'll see how it goes. Let's get to the starters. No Andre Drummond tonight, folks. He is out of the lineup. Illness for Andre Drummond. Well, a lot of people have been asking for it. You get it. Yabusele gets the start at the 5. You also have Caleb Martin, Kelly Oubre, as usual, in the front court with him. And then, how about this? Kyle Lowry and who's that?
That's Jared McCain.
Jared McCain in the backcourt. You also wanted to know if he can start. Well, he's getting to start tonight. What do you make of this lineup? We talked about Nick Nurse having to get creative and do some things. Well, here's another one.
I mean, I think Jared McCain's going to have a lot of shots tonight, right? I think, by the way, I'd rather watch him run pick and rolls than Kelly Oubre at this point. And I'm sure Kelly
was not good last night.
He's been good for most of the year. Caleb Martin's obviously been very overtaxed for most of the season. I still have some confidence in him. I've really liked, this is off topic, Devon. I've liked Caleb Martin's defense in recent games. I know he's not playing that well, but he strikes me as a guy that if the top guys round into form, he's going to be really valuable. I thought he did a nice job against Brunson last night, and he made him work pretty hard. Look, it's a very undermanned lineup. You have Yabu at the 5. I don't know if you're going to be able to get quite as much switching done when you have the 2 small guys in the backcourt. You can get away with, it's funny, Lowry obviously doesn't give you a lot offensively outside of, the occasional smart play and some spot up 3-point shooting. I think you can get away with Lowry, 3 wings, and Yabusele defensively. Lowry and McCain, it's pretty small. I think there will be some matchups to hunt.
Luckily, there are 2 small guards on the other side. Now, they're all stars, but there are 2 smaller guards on the other side. McCain's defense will certainly be on display tonight as he gets to start against Mitchell and Garland.
Tough assignment for him, but that's okay.
Yes, it is. All right, let's get to our best bets. The pregame pick segment is brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. What do we have, Bree? Let's start off with Rich's call for tonight. The starting center.
So Gamblin Givens has been off, and I don't know what Gamblin Hoffman's been up to, but it's been pretty rough. So I'm gonna go back to the last one I got, and that is Gershon Yabusele, 2+ threes made at +125. He's starting, right?
He's going to pull those big guys away from the basket, man.
Those guys, now, the Cavs do a pretty good job of taking away the 3-point line, but at least
he'll get some looks.
He'll get some looks, right? And by the way, they might just leave him open. They might not actually believe in it. I'm looking at Yabu's stats. He has hit that number and gone above it 3 out of the last 5 games. Even last night when he was playing the 4, he got up 5 threes. They weren't bad-looking threes. He didn't really make too many. He only made one of them. But I think this definitely has a chance of hitting.
All right, and mine, I went with a same-game parlay. Is at +115. Odds together. Jared McCain under 18.5 points. Now, of course, this was before the starting lineup was revealed. Didn't realize. But even with that, he's been on a heater. He's been on a heater, right?
Yeah.
He's been playing really well. But I went more with just under the average. No Embiid, no Paul George. There's going to be a lot on him. While he may get the shots, is he going to make them? That's the question. So 18.5, I thought it was a little bit of a high number.
I think it's very possible that he struggles tonight. Now Sim EB in the chat has made the counterpoint.
40
but
on 47.
On 47. That's the Maxey game against the Nuggets,
Yes.
the 7-player game where he put up a bunch of points, but it was very inefficient. Who knows? I don't know how this is going to play out. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go watch it.
Yep. And the final one of our parlay was Donovan Mitchell, 2+ threes in this one. I think that's going to happen. That's going to happen. That might happen in the first 5 minutes of the game.
First 4 possessions.
Those are our picks for our pregame pick segment, brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Rich, let's hope for a good one, man.
Let's hope for a good one. And if it's a good game, everybody come on back and hang out with us afterwards.
Even if it's a bad one.
Yeah, do that too.
Come on back and hang out with us. We thank our presenting sponsor of Coors Light. Again, Coors Light, presented by Coors Light, our pregame show. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY basketball to get Coors Light delivered or find a store near you so you can choose chill during this game. For Bree, Rich, and myself, we'll talk to you after the game, and we'll check in with the guys at the arena as well. Sixers, Cavs, we'll discuss it post-game right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.